Hi, my name is Paul. Welcome to episode 2 of my YouTube channel. I'm a professional colorist. I've been working in the industry now for 7 years. I've graded loads of features, untold amount of shorts. Today, we're going to be looking at shot matching. So let's jump into Davinci Resolve. As you can see, we're on the color page, and these are the two clips that we're going to be working with today. Both are in Arri LogC. And the other thing that I just want to do quickly is grab a grayscale. So let me just grab a grayscale, drop that in there. Let me put that as a new compound clip. And this means that that will now show up in the color page. So let's dive over to the color page. So we just need to normalize our imagery. So let's go over to our timeline viewer, which is this little dot there. If you hover over this, it will pop up timeline. And this does this with everything on the color page. So if we go over to here, leave that cursor, you can go bypass color grades and fusion effects. Again, really handy to note. And it makes things a little bit easier just knowing these little hints and tips. So let's go over to our timeline. Let's right click, let's add a node, and let's add a corrector. Now we need to add our strings or our pipeline. So let's add those to the input and the output. What this does, this will add a grade, or this will allow you to grade across the whole timeline after the clip level adjustment. Because I've got a multi-screen setup, I just need to quickly go ahead and change this to one screen. So I'm going to go to workspace, dual screen, and press on. Now that's going to change the layout. So we're just going to go over to here and we're just going to bring up our primary wheel. So we're just going to press that button there. As you can see, it's now the color wheels. We're not actually going to use a color space transform for this. What we are going to do is we're going to use a LUT. So let's right click and let's add node and let's add a layer. So the reason I'm adding a layer node is so we can quickly A/B test the output. And that's also the reason why we've got a compound clip over here. And basically what the layer node allows us to do is any adjustments that we make here on this node will override anything on the top node. So let's go over to here. Let's click the LUTs. Press that, and we're going to be using the Arri LogC to Gamma 2.4 Rec 709 D65. All that really means is that we're going to take our camera space, which is the Arri LogC, output it to our display space, which is the Gamma 2.4 Rec 709. This D65 just notes the white point. So we're just going to take that and drop that onto there like that. Just want to go ahead and turn that 2x viewer down. So let's turn off the LUT list so we've got more space for our viewer window. We're not going to look at the color matching just yet because I want to show you why we're using the Arri LUT over the color space transform. So we're just going to turn this back on. We're going to go over to our effects. We're going to go over to our magnifying glass, and we're just going to type in COL, and we're going to go to color space transform, and we're going to drop that on to our node. So let me just pop out these scopes so we can see what's happening here. We're going to go across to our compound clip. Let me just turn that off. So this is the Arri LogC LUT from the Arri website. As you can see, we've got a really nice soft curve into the shadows, and we've got quite a strong shoulder, but again, we've still got that lovely curve. So let's go ahead, let's turn that color space transform. Let's click on that node, and now let's transform our Arri wide gamut LogC, and we're going to go across to Rec 709 Gamma 2.4. So it's just down here. So what's really interesting to note with the color space transform is we are crushing the black area. So if I just get my qualifier and go over to the blacks, you can see how much of that image we are losing straight into the ground. This isn't a great starting point, which is why I always use the Arri LogC to Gamma 2.4 LUT from the Arri website. If you don't have this LUT, I'll put a link in the comments that will take you straight to it so you can download it from the Arri website. If you don't have this LUT, don't worry, there's a link in the comments below, which if you click, it will take you straight through to that Arri website and you can download it. We're just going to turn that off. In fact, we're just going to delete that because we want to be using a nice soft curve. So let's go back to our clip level. And you can see that both of these clips are now normalized. And we've done this because we've placed a transform on a timeline clip, and that transform is applied to both of the clips. So I think we're going to match this shot to this shot. So we're just going to go across, we're going to hit our split screen, and then we're just going to press our Option key or our Windows key, and we're going to select both of these clips. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to go to this drop down here. At the moment it says version, but if we drop down and press selected clips, this will bring both the clips up. This for me is much better than working with stills because as you scrub through the timeline, you get a moving image of both of these clips. So let's just bring that back to the beginning like that. The other thing to note as well is this box around one of the clips. This white box basically means that this is the clip that you are targeting. So if we was clicking this one, I won't do it because it will reset everything. So if we was going to be working on this clip here, we'd want that white box to be around that. You can also note on the timeline, you've got a brighter red box, which also highlights which clip that you're working with. So let me show you the secret sauce about how to match clips. So we're just going to go across to our offset. Now what we're going to do is we're going to click on that, and we're going to pull this right up over to the magenta. So we are breaking the image. This isn't a great look, but there is a reason for this. So we're just going to swing this around. So if we look over here on the vector scope, you can see where all those broken pixels live in that image. Now we're just going to grab that offset. The reason we're doing that is now, so when we pull that back, we can now line that up as best as we can to our first image. So we're trying to match that as close as possible. So if we pull that down, I'll do this again for you so you can see it, but we're just looking over there on the vector scope and we're just overlaying those pixels that we selected in that target clip to overlay on our source clip. So we're going to be looking at his skin tones, and we're also going to be looking at his hoodie. So let's go up, let's click our split screen. As you can see, we have come a very, very long way in just one move. So let's just turn this image on and off to show you exactly how far we've come. And as you can see, we've come a very, very long way. We're just going to A/B the images. We've got a really, really close match very quickly. So there's a couple of things that I want to do. I just want to double check the skin tone. So I just want to go ahead and show you how we do that. I'm just going to go to our node. I'm going to click add node, and I'm going to add our parallel. So a parallel node is different to a layer node, and it just means whatever adjustments you make here will also incorporate the top node. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our power windows, we're going to go to our pen tool, and we're just going to draw a box on our hero's forehead. Let's see if we can make that slightly bigger. The reason we're drawing a box on his forehead is because we want to get an average value of those pixels in that particular area. So the next thing we're going to do, right click, let's add an alpha output. So let's click that. Now what you'll notice over here is you've got a little blue dot. All we're going to do is we're going to grab the alpha channel, which is the blue, and we're going to drag it across to that alpha out point. What will happen is this. I'm going to click off of the power window. We're just going to get the curves, and that will get rid of the window. And now the only thing that's selected in this entire image is the pixels inside that box, which is also the gentleman's forehead. So just going to zoom in and make that larger. Now to get a better view on the vector scope, we're going to right click, we're going to go to show 2x zoom, and this will increase the range of the vector scope by 2 times. The other thing that we're going to do to get a better view on our vector scope is we're just going to hit these. We're going to press show 2x zoom. It's always worth noting that it's better to work without this on, because these boxes here become redundant, and these are the saturation levels for the legal limits. But what this has done, this has allowed us to show a larger range of pixel values in this image. The next thing we need to do is we need to go back to our first image. We're just going to go up to here. We're going to press fit, and that will allow us to fit the image back into our viewer. So we're going to right click, we're going to add node, we're going to add a parallel, and we're going to do the exact same thing here on the gentleman's forehead. So let's go over to the power windows, let's select our pen tool, and we're just going to draw a box on his forehead. Let's bring that down a little bit. Again, right click, add alpha output. You'll note the blue dot under the green dot, and then we're just going to go to our alpha channel on this node and key that across, or drag that across to our dotted string. Let's go across to our curves just to get rid of that power window. So you can see where those pixels live on the gentleman's forehead on that vector scope. So the best tools to use this, I feel, for this demonstration will be the temp and the tint. The reason I say that is because the temp and the tint work on axes. So the temp will go from cool to warm, and the tint will go from the green and the magenta. So let's go across to our top node, because we want to make the adjustments across the whole image and not just the adjustments within that power window. Let's go across to our temp. So looking across at that vector scope, you can see the line moving away from the warm into the cool. So let's jump across to the second clip to see how our vector scope lines are comparing up with each other. So it does look like in the second clip, the line is curling around to the magenta. So we're just going to jump back to the first clip and roll the tint over to them. We're just going to go back to the temp quickly and just cool it off a touch more. So clicking between two images, you can see that the pixels on that vector scope line are almost identical. There's a slight discrepancy at the top, but I'm actually okay with that. This is a really, really great way to dial in skin tones without a qualifier if your image allows it. So just want to go ahead now and take off these alpha mattes and these power windows to show where we're at. So let's go to our first one and let's just click that and drop that down. So we're going to go across to our second one. We're going to take off that alpha matte. Let's drop that. And we're going to flick between the two images. We've come a really long way in just a handful of moves, and these clips are looking absolutely fantastic. So in just 2 nodes and 3 adjustments, we have matched these clips. It is that quick and simple. If you did get anything out of this video, it would mean the world to me if you could subscribe and leave a comment, or do both. It will allow me to make more of these videos with quick professional techniques for you. But in the meantime, thank you. Bye-bye.